if you go on YouTube and you search
Yeah.
DevOps, you will have a dedicated 4-hour video for GitLab. Then you
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah,
2
yeah.
hours video for Terraform. Then you have Kubernetes, a whole different world. So, how someone should start his or her journey? So, what kind of some of the soft skills which helped you along this journey? The
Because
recruitment
obviously,
process, is it different for a consulting or a service based firm versus a product?
got it.
So, hello friends, welcome to ITK Funde, your own channel where we make IT interesting for everyone. And this is a special podcast series we are starting off, and I have named it as Tech Talks with Anshul, where we'll be talking to a lot of bright minds in the world of technology. We'll be learning from their journey, we'll be learning from what they have learned in their own career. We'll discuss tech, we'll discuss technology trends, and a lot of stuff. So I don't know how it will shape up, but I'm really excited to invite Ravi as our very first guest. Welcome, Ravi, to the show. I hope this would be a very fruitful session. But before we move on, I would want to give a quick background of what Ravi has been doing. So Ravi has been in technology space from 2005, and he has played multiple roles in multiple companies. Started off as a consultant, then moved on as a solution architect, moved on as a sales technology sales role as well, then evangelist, developer advocate, and finally he is a CTO in SHIPA. SHIPA is a great product providing application as a code to developers. What Terraform does for infra, SHIPA does it for developers. So I'm really excited to understand what SHIPA does and how it can help in someone's career as well. So without further ado, I welcome Ravi on our very first episode. Ravi, how are you doing today?
Yeah, doing great, Anshul. Really honored to be your first podcast guest. I was looking forward to the conversation. Love your videos on your channel, and yeah, I'm gonna really enjoy the new format. I'm sure the audience will enjoy the new format also.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous because this is my first time doing anything live. So I totally understand the podcast and how how it goes. But yeah, if I fumble a bit, please bear with me. It is just my first time. So but I'm really excited to have you on the show.
Awesome. Yeah, excited to be here. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So Ravi, would you mind just giving a quick background to what you have been doing and what has been your journey? I have given a summary, but I don't know if I have covered enough. So if you could quickly cover what you have done so
Yeah,
far.
yeah. Love technology. I mean, that was actually pretty good, pretty inclusive of my career. I was talking about my journey. I always like computers. I mean, I remember my first interaction with a computer. I was a child. I was like 3 or 4. And I was fairly lucky that my family had the internet at our home, but I didn't know how it worked. So we had something called like Prodigy. So this is like in the 1980s in the United States where I'm based out of. And it would give us, I live in the Atlanta area, and it would say what the weather would be like for Atlanta. And it would say, oh, it's sunny outside. And I would like look outside, look at the computer, look outside again. And I was like, oh, how does the computer know it's sunny? I assumed that there were gnomes in the computer. And I just never found them. I was like, oh, maybe like somebody small comes out and takes a look and like goes back in. That's what I thought when I was like 3. I still think that, like I've been very fortunate to build a lot of distributed, even Kubernetes-based workloads. And I still think there are gnomes in it. I haven't found them yet, but that love affair of technology kind of just I was fortunate again to live where I live through my public education and then the university, and then just kind of like to build stuff. I'm not very good at building stuff with my hands, but on a keyboard, that's I think a lot of software
A
engineers.
lot of people are not good at that as well. So building something on the keyboard is not easy. So yeah, kudos to you.
Thanks. Yeah, and kind of that career journey that kind of built a few products. Have been a product engineer. Kind of mid career, decided to kind of get more customer facing. I got some mentors told me that's like, hey, you can further your career by getting closer to where people are. Then after did that for a little while, I was told, well, you can even further your career if you get closer to the money, where it exchanges hands. I remember I was actually on a plane talking to somebody, this total stranger. He worked for EMC, and he was like, "Hey man, like I was coming home. I used to do weekly travel as a Big Four consultant. I'm sure, Anshul, you know the drill, like commuting to the client site, right?" And I got told that, and I was like, okay, so let me try being like a sales engineer, and then did that for a while, and then kind of like transitioned into advocacy work, and then the field CTO work that I do now.
I think, yeah, it's fantastic to know about this journey. In such a short time, you have done so much. So congratulations to you, first of all. I think today the topic would be very, very specific. I want this to be a very career oriented discussion, because a lot of people in my who are my subscribers comes from different parts of India and the globe. And a lot of people are young, between 18 to 25 years of age. They want to get into IT. They are into IT, but they want to move on to a different role. And then there are experienced people who want to make a career shift. And what else better than DevOps? Because DevOps has been the pioneer as far as the cloud native application journey is concerned. A lot of cloud adoption of agile, and then now DevOps. So although there's it's almost more than 15 years of DevOps being in the IT industry, I think still there's a lot of evolution left in DevOps. It is not there yet. So to start with, I would want to know from you your perspective of what is the future, what you see lies ahead when we talk about DevOps in next 10 years, maybe.
Yeah. So the DevOps it's certainly it's certainly like an ongoing topic. It's DevOps is a culture, right? And like culture evolves over time, and that's, I know I'm very fortunate also. Like I'm a core organizer for DevOps Days Atlanta, so I really enjoy the community, give back to it. What's in the future for DevOps? It's kind of like it's a wide brush of a question. I mean, if from a technical trend standpoint, it's just, hey, how do you make things more safe? Like safe being that if there's you want to, your internal customer as a DevOps engineer is a software engineer or a developer. And so kind of where software engineering is going is that you want to be able to iterate quickly, and clearly like doing innovation work. It's making sure that it's in a safe environment. So if you do, like, everybody will fail. A going joke, I would say, like, the older I've gotten, if something works the first time, I actually did it wrong. Like, I know better than that now. Like, young Robbie like, oh, it works. Older Robbie's like, why did that work? Let's look at it a little bit differently. And so creating that culture of iteration, of safety, and also just furthering automation, right? Like, hey, how can you have repetitive steps? How can you make autonomous decisions? And that's where DevOps is headed. Because if you kind of take a look at, your internal customer journey, like he or she, like a software engineer, might only be in a project for 6 months, 12 months. They have a lot of tools to learn, a lot of ramp, and how do you make their developer experience very key? And so, like a big investment in DevOps or platform engineering, depending, what you subscribe to, would be also just developer experience, right? So dazzling your internal customers, how can you make their experience a better one?
Mm-hmm. So I think I totally agree that this is going to go this way, and it will make life of developers easy. But do you think that going forward, security would play a bigger role in DevOps? And because we now see a great adoption of DevSecOps, do you think that DevOps would eventually be called as DevSecOps, because you cannot get away or ignore security from dev side or from operation side? So how do you think that's shaping up?
Yeah, it's like definitely like a sub movement. It all boils down to like security is everybody's responsibility, right? Like that's something I remember, like fresh out of university, used to beat it into, like, quality is everybody's responsibility. Then security is your responsibility. Then it was security is everybody's responsibility. But that's very true. If you kind of take a look at like what you work on, systems are very complex. Like there's this concept I call the fog of development, that no one person knows the entire end-to-end system. Even at my level, I do not know. I openly admit I don't know every microservice that we have. I just couldn't tell you. Like, and so there's this fog usually about it. And security is always where the shift has become is that security used to be an afterthought. I clearly remember like a couple of years of my career, like before we would ship, like I used to work on like a product, not a stuff like an on-prem product. And we would only do security testing like the week before we shipped the software, and we would ship like every quarter. And it's like, it was certainly an afterthought, like, oh, like I forgot to sanitize those inputs, or like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. It's susceptible to cross-site scripting on the browser, internal browser. Like, what's going on? But now, like, there's such a feature velocity going on, and also like the attack, like a lot of the attacks that happen are like application layer attacks, right? It's not like, oh, some hacker will, like plug their networking cable into like the outside of your building and get it through that. No, it's like they're attacking open source. They're attacking things that the developers, might not have the purview into like protecting, or like a purview of somebody authoring something, right? Like, use a lot of open source today. Like usually you're not a contributor to every project that you're consuming. And so like there has to be coverage for that. And it comes down to like what the core pillar of DevSecOps is, like disseminating information more quickly. And so I know I'm giving a long-winded answer. Like the answer is yes, definitely it's coming, it's more important, but some are rational, like why it's getting important. Let's say we founded our own company, like Anshul's lemonade service. I don't know, we sell lemonade now.
I love lemonade, by the way.
Yeah, lemonade's great. Yeah, it's hot here where I live, so it's like pure like lime and lemonade season here. So like, so we got really big. Like if we had 100 developers, there might be only one AppSec engineer, and that's pretty true. Like specialized engineering such as DevOps, site reliability engineering, the hardest to fill are the AppSec engineers. Like if we had 100 people, we might have like 7 or 8 DevOps engineers. We might have like 2 or 3 SREs, and you have a singular AppSec engineer. And so how do you get his or her like AppSec knowledge across the pipeline? Well, that is DevSecOps. How do you get that information to the developers to make more hygienic decisions? And also, how do you alert on something when there's the old adage, software ages like milk. It doesn't age like wine. So how do you, from a DevOps engineer perspective, because you're responsible for running, or if you're more of the admin side, like running large swaths of workloads that you're not the author of, how do you know when something goes wrong? And that's, DevSecOps is all about that.
Makes sense. I think I totally agree that security has always been an afterthought, but as we are moving completely into cloud, it cannot be. And I've recently joined a cybersecurity team, and I'm working with them. I'm now understanding, because I'm mostly from a data and analytics background, but of late I have joined them, and we are building a software on certificate lifecycle management to secure all our SSL communication. Right now we have manual certificates getting ingested, but we want to automate that completely. So I'm trying to understand the perspective of security. Security has always been a hard sell if you go to anyone. But now I think people do understand that you cannot get away with this. A single incident, a Log4j recently happened, Log4j, and it was a massive issue globally. But yeah, I think moving on, my next question is now coming on the career front, because
Sure.
DevOps is overwhelming. Let me admit it. I think if you ask me, I have spent so much time in IT industry, but even today, when I talk about DevOps, I see plethora of tools and technologies getting bombarded every day. So for doing everything, right from CI/CD to provisioning your platforms, to managing your clusters, to deploying it, whatever you call it, you name it, and you have 10 softwares which you need to learn. So how a developer or an operations guy who's working on in a call center, or a network engineer or a DBA who aspires to move into DevOps can actually make that mind shift to move towards this role? What should be those stepping stones, according to you, which they should follow in order to think about getting into a DevOps role? And when I say DevOps, there are multiple roles in DevOps. So maybe you can touch base upon what kind of role suits which kind of profile. So suppose if someone is a DBA, what kind of role he should target, or maybe someone has been a Java developer, what kind of roles he should aim for. So yeah, would like to know your perspective.
Yeah. DevOps is such a wide topic. It's hard to like what ends up happening in technology, I'll be the first to admit, like, you will get paid more as a DevOps engineer than a system engineer because the title carries a lot of weight. Or, oh, you're a Kubernetes platform engineer, but by learning that specific technology, your hourly rate goes up or your salary goes up, or lakhs per annum. I know LPA. I follow blind, so I always read what an LPA is like. It's like that amount of money will increase. But take the title chasing out. Like if you wanted to kind of make the jump, it's kind of understanding who, like, it always goes back to like who's your internal customer. So like let's say you were starting fresh, right? Like all three of those angles. You're a software engineer. You want to go to be a DevOps engineer, like that. Actually, that was closest to my background. Most of my career was in software development, and then it kind of like it naturally progressed. Like, oh, I had to start worrying more and more as I got more senior. I had to start worrying more and more about the infrastructure, and I was like, then I had to worry more and more about the deployment. Like I was in charge of it. It's like, how did this occur? I'm not even writing features anymore. I'm like they're just babysitting things. But like as time went on, we've gotten more efficient. It's just there's a lot of pillars to it, but kind of the first thing to understand with DevOps, it's like DevOps is all about breaking down silos. And as cliche or as meta as that sounds, it's like imagine in your day-to-day job, even as a DBA, like how many pesky people you have to probably deal with. Me, I used to, one of the banking clients that used to destroy all their undue space all the time. I thought they had lots of hard drive space, but they did not. So DBAs would come talk to me like, hey, we have over 1 terabyte of undue space dedicated to you. I still don't know what that means. That's what I was told, but kind of like looking at that perspective, right? Like, it's just understand like, hey, you know what? We all work a little bit differently. DevOps is a kind of a job that, or a career motion that you're going to be interacting with multiple people. And also kind of like, this is like kind of odd advice. Like just being able to accept that what you work on usually wouldn't be achieved in a sprint. Or so I'll just harp on like a DBA. Like I have a lot of respect for them. I usually stray away from a database, but let's say, as a DBA, you might get a ticket to say, hey, can you go, I don't know, add a compound index. I'm going back to SQL. Like, can you add a composite index on, these columns or something? Sure. And you'll execute that. You're an expert. And you were done in like 15 minutes and you have 60 other tickets to do that day. God bless you, right? But a lot of times in DevOps, things take a long time. It can't be measured in a sprint. It's measured in like quarters, right? Like, a certain goal, we want to increase our deployment pipeline from 1 deployment a quarter to 4. Well, that's a pretty substantial change, but you have to take a look at that, right? So kind of understanding like, okay, a more technical answer would be, a traditional, if you look at like what most people would envision if they fell asleep and dreamed of being a DevOps engineer, it's like, oh, a DevOps engineer is in charge of the development pipeline. But what is the development pipeline? It's everything that is needed to go from idea to production, right? And so that can be source code management, that can be a continuous integration, like a build process, that can be the deployment portion of it, that can be getting the infrastructure ready to deploy something. Oh, I need to install a lot of, if you're using Kubernetes or something, a lot of ancillary packages, or if you're using, if you're a system engineer, oh, we have to get our RHEL instance with these libraries ready. And there's a lot, right, to learn. And like, don't get overwhelmed. Like, just kind of take piece by piece. And also, like, there's very, like, as Anshul, as you said, there's very different types of DevOps careers. Like when you're like looking for some, like, if you look at a job description, like I always like to kind of poke fun at, like, they're not hiring a DevOps engineer, they're hiring an entire IT department. Like, how does someone have, even myself, it's like, yeah, good luck with that, like have these skills. And just take that with a grain of salt, right? Like there's kind of like, kind of a push for employers to make you do more because they'll pay you more. There's a pull from the employee side that they want to kind of do that. Just don't. And also the DevOps community is very accepting. Like the whole reason why I got into it, it was just the community at large was like very friendly and very, very accepting. Like I came from the Java community, not to badmouth them, but like, they certainly have their, their clique or their little area about them. Like, yes, we are the Java community of practice. So yes, we write the JCRs like for Oracle. Like, okay, just try and use it here. But the DevOps community is super accepting. Like, just like, all over India, all over the world, like go to a DevOps day, go to an event, listen to something like this, like I'm sure like it'll be super helpful, and just start, like
So
don't.
what could be some basic skills? Like, is it Linux scripting? You should start from learning some programming language. Do you so in order to make that shift, should you enroll with some good certification or courses or some books which you might recommend? Because sometimes if you go on YouTube and you search
Yeah.
DevOps, you will have a dedicated 4-hour video for GitLab. Then you
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah,
2 hours video for Terraform. Then you have Kubernetes, a whole different world. So, how someone should start his or her journey, considering most of the roles are on the operations side? And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you seriously see, development side of things are not being focused that much. If you talk about a role like a SRE engineer or a DevOps engineer, I think these kind of roles are picking up a lot of demand in the market. So considering that, and considering that most of my subscribers I can talk about are from networking background, are from administration support and operations background, and yeah, obviously some are developers as well, but yeah,
yeah.
these are the majority of my audience. What could be some stepping stones, or some steps which they could take, maybe through a course? That's completely fine, but
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think if I met someone like off, like just totally like at random, and they said, "Oh, hey Ravi, like I want to be a DevOps engineer," and but my first like for more tactical advice would be, "Hey, write a piece of software. Could be anything." And as silly as that sounds, like because that's what you'll be empathizing for what your internal customers do. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be like in Python. It just says, "Hi, I'm Anshul." That's it. Like one
right,
liner.
right.
But to execute that, you have to install the library. You have to get the IDE. You have to, run like a Python installer. If you do it in Java, like just do it with the language, that you want to learn, just to say hello. You have to install the runtime, right? You have to organize, when you right click in the IDE, like, and it makes a project, you see how many files get generated and you only modified one. Like you start to empathize, like, oh, these are all the steps that I have to do to run something. Don't even worry about Docker. Don't even worry about Kubernetes. Like just write a little itty bitty piece of software that says hello, and that's it. And then so now you're start picking up like, oh, I had to set this up. If you want to get even more complicated, you can just stick that in a Docker image, right? Like, oh, I have to install Docker on my machine. I have to do that. But every one of those steps that you just did, like they don't go away, right? Like they just happen at scale. So the same thing with like a networking admin, or same thing with like a DBA or a system engineer. Like you're not logging into every, like, I'm just going to focus on like a Linux admin for now, a little more familiar with that. Like clearly, Mr. and Mrs. Linux admin, you're not logging into every rel instance and installing something. You automated that. You use something like Red Hat Satellite or OpenStack, or use like something like that automated it. So each one of those little steps that you did to say hello, those need to be automated. And that is what DevOps is about, right? And so like, how do you automate that at scale? There's a lot of like, hey, is DevOps CI/CD? I mean, I've been in that industry for a while. Like greedily, I would say, sure it is, but no, it's not. It's a cultural thing. But if you have to start somewhere, like the development pipeline is what it is. Because
Did,
like
ho- did
now,
you did you did you do any kind of courses or something, or did you just took, because you have been a developer, so I can understand you would have done it
yeah,
the hard way.
yeah,
But as you said, a very good idea is to start a Hello World program, deploy it, run through a CI/CD pipeline, see what happens, and then pick up the bits and pieces which you need to get this done. It could be through Ansible, it could be through Terraform, Chef, Puppet, whatever. But the idea is to run an end-to-end program. That's what I can gauge from what you are suggesting.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And add the pieces like incrementally, like, like if I had to start from scratch and someone's like, oh, run this in Terraform, it's like, what is Terraform? Like, what is it? It's like, yeah, exactly right. Oh, take your time, add little bits and pieces, write the application first. I'm like, okay, how can I like what is automation? Infrastructure as code. Okay, you might do it in Bash, you might do it in Terraform, you might do it in Ansible, you might do it, do it by hand first and try to glue it together with automation, and it'll give you a good idea of like what it is. Another like trick would be like, hey, let's say you just really want to work for a bank, or you really want to work for a software company. You can like look at their job descriptions. They'll kind of like list out the skill sets. Like I've been pretty fortunate in my career to interview a lot of like VP level DevOps folks. Like I was cheating because like that was where I was going in my career. So I would like talk to them like, hey, I need to scale my team. Like what? And so like the good thing is about being a DevOps, being on a DevOps team, like everyone has their own specialty. Like they're not, let's say Anshul and I were on the same team. They would not hire both of us for the exact same skills because we wouldn't be very useful. Like we need to complement each other, right? So like DevOps is a team sport, right? Like, hey, don't let the title scare you. Like being a DBA with DevOps skills, you'll be pretty in demand because a lot of people don't have database automations. Like, you're already like well in your way of that vertical, and kind of like, you would probably put on a team with a couple other different people, and like information sharing is crucial. And so like team dynamics, having people know different things and having people in the team share with each other is important. So I know that's like after you get the job advice, but it's like, hey, embrace your skills, what you have, because that's, they would probably hire you to automate.
And do you think any alternatives to DevOps? Because see, DevOps is not for everyone. It's big, it's huge, it has its own learning curve. So what are some upcoming trends which you see which would be needed as far as DevOps is? So do we see a Kubernetes administrator working separately in a DevOps world? Or for example, as you said, AppSec guys, do you think you need to know end to end, or do you think that there could be some siloed specialized roles in DevOps, or is it always be that general umbrella which you need to know end to end?
Yeah, I think it's like there's definitely specialization, right? And like it all comes back to like how do you disseminate that specialization? For example, Kubernetes. I'll harp on Kubernetes. So like very familiar with. I've been using it for a long time. Very familiar with the ecosystem. Is that what ends up happening was like the development teams would run Kubernetes themselves, and then as it became less of a play toy and more of real workloads got put on it, then you need system engineering experience to come in. But now, if you look at any organization of size today, like that's a platform engineering concept. Like, the platform engineering or DevOps team will run the clusters and provide you ways on and off of it. So there's like vertical expertise in Kubernetes, but they're not experts in the workload that's all running on it. They're experts on the platform. They're experts on the necessary pieces of infrastructure that Kubernetes or their implementation or flavor requires. And same thing with AppSec, right? Like any one of those specialized engineers, yes, like specialization still absolutely occurs. And the more critical a technology becomes, the more specialized. For example, in my career, I did a lot of messaging-based applications, like a lot of event-based stuff. And we have people who specialize like in Kafka, or we have people who specialize like in JMS or AMQ, right? Like we have people who specialize, like they're so even developed, like so vertically focused, like on that piece of infrastructure, like, they still have jobs. There's just a scale it up. So yeah.
No, I think that makes sense. But that brings me to the most important question: how SHIPA could help us in this journey? Because I think that's very important. I totally understand it's a product which is still evolving, but I would want you to just cover that part and tell us about something about SHIPA and how it could help in someone's career who wants to get into DevOps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, SHIPA is like a cheat code. So let me share my screen here. Show you the mighty SHIPA. And like, I a little biased about SHIPA because like, I work for SHIPA, but I strongly believe like no matter where you are in your career, SHIPA can help you, right? So SHIPA's whole premise is that it's designed to make Kubernetes an afterthought, right? So like part of, let's say that you want to be let's say you're not familiar with like Kubernetes, or not familiar with like application development, but being a DevOps engineer, you don't have to be a developer. You just have to help people deploy something, right? You're not concerned about the workload itself, like how it was put together, but you're concerned about where and what and how it's running. And it could be a little bit of a cheat with SHIPA. So like the founders and I have kind of similar stories. We all came from development backgrounds, and like none of us really like Kubernetes. Like I was forced into it 7 years ago, and I was like, why? And I still ask that question, like, I remember doing this outside of Kubernetes. Like, why do I have to come up with how Kubernetes does it? But that's kind of like where SHIPA came from. Like with SHIPA, we offer a free SaaS version. So like if you wanted to just get started with SHIPA, like do a basic thing, like I want to deploy like a Docker image to Kubernetes and see what that looks like that would take just like a matter of like a minute. Like you can spin up something like Minikube. We have some instructions like how to spin up Minikube, but then you just sign up with SHIPA Cloud. And all this is free. And then it kind of walks you through like deploying something. I can deploy something like really quickly. I can just call this like, I can deploy something super quickly. Let me see if I have 5 apps here. Make sure our free tier limit is 5. So I can basically create like an application. I can call it like, podcast. I can pick, I have a couple of these kind of set up already. And basically just give like an image name. And that's it. I made a blog post like how to deploy a particular image. If you don't have one, one will be provided
so I think it abstracts all the complexities from the developer's perspective. Like if they want to code, they'll just code. They'll come here. There will be a framework which they need to select, and from there on, it will be all driven through that framework. If I understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like there's like 9 pieces of functionality. Like I'm just gonna dig into like what a framework is like really quickly. Like there's just like 9 like basic questions, like what pieces of functionality you have to deploy to kind of give, like as a someone who has to accept workload on Kubernetes. It's basically like saying, hey, how much resources can someone have, or who has access to it, or how do you, this is always a tricky one, like networking in Kubernetes gets really complicated. Right. It's like,
I'm struggling with that right now. One of my ingress controllers is giving me nightmares right now. So I totally understand the pain here. Yeah, please.
Yeah. I still don't understand it. Okay, I do, but like it took a long time to understand like how like communication happens across Kubernetes. And SHIPA makes it like super easy, right? Like, if I were to come here and click deploy and, click deploy again, just give an image, like SHIPA will auto wire a few things for me. So like, I can like actually say, oh, you know what? One of the big things, like, how do I even see what I just deployed, right? This will help you kind of understand like, okay, at least I can see what I deployed. It'll auto wire some DNS entries for you. And a lot of those like core DevOpsy type of concepts, like SHIPA can assist on. Mm-hmm. And kind of, especially if you're playing with Kubernetes for the first time, or you want to, kind of.
And I think it integrates with all the cloud providers. So you could have multiple clusters running across different clouds, and you can manage it from this single platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can, some examples I deployed to like all, you have GCP, AKS.
How close it is to something like Istio or Anthos?
Yeah, so Istio is a service mesh, and so behind the scenes, like, so what SHIPA is doing for you on your behalf, it's writing all the necessary Kubernetes objects. So like I'll give a more experienced answer now. So let's say that you've been using Kubernetes for a while. What you will notice is that there's all these like objects that you have to like create. Like there's just like a bunch. It's not just the app. It's like the ingress object, the rollout object, pod spec. There's like so many things that you have to write. And it's SHIPA will author those things for you. So we actually we would write to Istio. So like, one of my outages, I misconfigured Kubernetes networking policy. I wrote it wrong. It blocked half the internet from my production app. But SHIPA will write that for you. Compared to like something like Anthos, like we're not a Kubernetes distribution. So like, Anthos is like on-prem GKE, like we're more of a control plane piece of software. So like you can point SHIPA to your existing clusters. Also, for the even more experienced answer, like eventually, if you've been in using like anything, you can be running servers for a while, you can be running a database for a while. Like as there's more workload, there's more of a separation between the author and who's running it. So like, as a DBA, you didn't write all the queries, someone else had some inserts, or
So
as
is it,
a
sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. Is it free for people to use and try? Is there
Yeah,
a free version of SHIPA which people could maybe install or log on to? It's a SaaS platform, if I'm not
yeah,
wrong.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm using our free SaaS right now. We have a 5 app limit. So if I made like one called podcast, it would like
Mhm.
you need to buy the
I think we
page.
will need, I think, a session on this, and maybe you might have to run through this because it looks really exciting, especially the graphical graph which you showed, connecting pods and everything. Because sometimes
Yeah.
while creating your manifest and so many Kubernetes objects, it gets so overwhelming. You don't know where you started and where you are actually stuck, and you have to backtrace all of that. And just by looking at it, I can feel that it's so useful. And I think in the back end it might be using some of the open source technologies, or some built-in features as well from SHIPA. But uh, I think this looks great.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, where the founders and I came from was like, we want to make it easy.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, I want
looks
people to
easy.
start.
The first vibe of this, I have not explored it much. Maybe I'll need an account on this
Yeah,
to
sign up,
to
man.
to
Yeah.
to just explore it further. But yeah, it looks really easy. So I think from a newbie perspective, or someone who wants to learn, I think SHIPA could be one of those platforms from where they can start their journey to not get overwhelmed and start small. Obviously,
Yeah.
you need to learn about Kubernetes and GitLab, GitOps, all those things you need to learn. But at least as a stepping stone, this could be a good platform to start your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm honored if people check it out. I mean, it'll definitely get you really far really quickly. And also, I know we're coming up in time here. Like, we recently introduced like a policy violation thing. So if you're really experienced and worried about scale, Shifa can help you make security posture decisions with that. But
That was really useful, Ravi. Thanks for giving us that demo. And now I would want to ask some questions which I got from my subscribers. I put up a post before this and
nice.
I asked them to post some questions or email me some of their questions. So, one question from them is, what training or certification? Again, I have asked this before, but maybe I have to be very specific about it because they want to
Yeah.
know what we should do to get into DevOps.
Yeah. It's like, training and certification wise, like I always like, there's like a couple like hands-on things like Katacoda. You can run through a few examples like in a safe environment, like focusing on like CI/CD pipelines or like infrastructure automation, and also even using something like Udemy, right? Like even my father, he's in his 70s, he uses Udemy for like
Okay.
accounting stuff, which they have a whole wide range of skills. I haven't really taken any DevOps specific courses. All of my experience came from work.
And that's the
Or-
best way to learn it. I always
yeah,
I
get
always
paid to do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I always believe in that fact that, because I am a certified cloud solution architect on Google Cloud, for example. I make a lot of videos on Google Cloud and all that. But when I started working in security, and now when I'm trying to deploy TLS certs using the ingress controller on a Kubernetes cluster, and when it's not working, I'm learning way faster than what I would
Yeah.
have through a coding, through a training program on Udemy. But again, having said that, it could be a good starting point for someone who knows nothing. And I honestly want to say that, don't be that mad about DevOps. You have to have patience. You have to have those 6 months to 1 year of learning curve within you. That patience has to be there. You cannot all of a sudden get into DevOps. It's not that easy space to get in. It's very fierce. There are people who are in this space for years, and if you're competing with them. And one of the very important things which I get a lot is in HR interviews, when or maybe in technical interviews, sorry, people expect you to know the software which they have deployed in the firm. Now, if someone tells someone that, okay, I've been working in DevOps for last 5 years, but I have not used, for example, Terraform. I was working on Pulumi for that matter.
Mhm.
But that does not get accepted. That's what the feedback I have got. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, it might be. I'll take it. I'll answer like part of the the learning question. Then I'll answer that specific question,
Sure,
right? So like,
sure.
so uh, good. So if you're starting out with DevOps, why it can be frustrating, especially if you have an operations background, is that DevOps is introducing you to software engineering. It's all about iteration. Going back to, you have to iterate, you have to be able to like try things over and over and over again. Like, I'll give you an example. As a DBA, there's only one way to install a composite index on an Oracle database. That's it. Like, you read the manual, right? Or like using like, or if you're, there's only one way to enable SE Linux, like the Red Hat manual will tell you how to do that, but there's no DevOps manual, right? Like that's a trait from software engineering. A lot of it's innovation work. And so you have to try and try and try and try again. Like Anshul, you just said, like you've been working one place 5 years with Pulumi, it's not transferring over to Terraform. Well, that's true. Like you have to be able to iterate in your solution. And that's what's fairly difficult. Like that's hard for some people to do, especially when you're dealing with like the paradigms that are changing very quickly, like Kubernetes. Like you have to iterate. You have to accept what you just built is not going to work, like in 6 months or a year, and it takes time. And that's a big mind shift thing. Like there's no manual, right? But that's the fun part too, because you get to exercise your expertise. Now, going back to your question, being very strict to the job description. So I was on another podcast. It might be like where the listeners come from. So I was a hiring manager before, right? And I was a director level at my previous company. We'll be building a team here soon as we get more funding. But for me, like when I hire somebody, it's usually like if they have half the skills, I'm okay with it, because like they have enough skills that they're not going to like struggle, but also they have enough of a gap that they want to learn. See, and that's the funny thing. It might be a cultural thing. I was on another podcast. It was like a HR podcast based out of India, and there were people were like laughing. I was like what, you would accept someone with a 50% match on their CV? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like the person wants to learn. I would take that person any day over someone with like 80, 90, 100%. And they're like, you're crazy. I was like, oh yeah, maybe a little bit, but it might be a cultural thing too, right? Like the appetite to learn, it outweighs how much you know. I mean, you have to know something, you have to know how to do a little bit, but like having that, the job has to be beneficial both ways. It needs to be beneficial to you so you can learn, and also it should be beneficial to the firm so you can grow. I don't know if that was an answer that makes sense,
No,
but
no, I
so I
think
thought,
that
yeah.
makes sense because it first of all it varies. We cannot generalize this, but I think this again poses another question. Is it different between, like, the recruitment process? Is it different for a consulting or a service based firm versus a product firm? Because I think product firm have that cushion and they want long term people who could learn, who could evolve. But when you're talking about a
Yeah,
consulting firm, they have to deliver a project in 6 months and they have the client sitting on their head. They want a ready baked person to come in and deliver. So do you think it also
very
varies
fair.
from the industry to industry?
Yeah, I think I was being a little biased towards product firm there. Like, like you're hiring for longevity, right? It's like product versus project, right? Like a lot of DevOps things are product related. Like a DevOps transformation is not going to be like a month. Oh, maybe if like your professional services, oh, I'm going to go set up their, I work for a CI/CD firm, so let me go set up their pipeline for a month. Okay, like that's very specific. But that is true. Like there is a little bit more of a bar of entry closer to the job description with a consulting or contracting firm, because they need that expertise immediately. And that's what the client's paying for. Like, we need someone to come do this, or we could have done it ourselves, right? And not have to hire and whatnot. So there is a little bit of that, and depending where you work.
Yeah, I also feel that because product companies tend to prefer people who have the learning appetite, first of all, and who are willing to stay for the long game. So totally get it. Another question is around a new terminology. I don't know if you have any views on it, but there's this term which is coined up now, which is called as ZeroOps. And then people are saying that eventually it would be all ZeroOps, and the whole DevOps culture or frameworks would have no operations involved. Now that got a lot of people frightened from the operations part of the world, because they some of my subscribers were telling whether we'll have jobs or not. I've spent so much learning DevOps, and now you're telling me there will be ZeroOps. So what like what's the rationale behind it? So I said,
Yeah.
for me personally, it's not going to be that easy to remove ops completely, but yeah, I would like to know your views on it.
Yeah, there's like things are always like marching towards automation, right? It's like it's in our society, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
it's not like we're becoming more efficient as a people all the time. Now, I lump no ops with like no code or low code, like low ops, low code. Like it's like an inception problem. Like the genesis had to start somewhere. Like there's always going to be a need for someone to build something. Do you think that no ops vendor is running 100% no ops themselves? No, they have to have a lot of bespoke firepower to power that, right? And so like it's just that the level of automation will occur. So like, for example, let's say a very common operations task is like, oh, you have to provision a user or add a user to the suitors list in like Linux. You're probably not going to be doing much of that, right? Like, like it's going to be automated to a point that when you request like a new image, like those things are already like baked in into like a Vagrant or Packer or AMI or something like that, but that's kind of like the shift. The pure like sysadmin type of work, it's diminishing a little bit in terms of like, like, hey, we need to hire 50 Linux admins. Right. But that's also the engineering, the server to engineer burden, right? Like because of tooling, you're able to, it's like if you and I could only maintain 5 servers each, we would not have, that was acceptable in the 1990s, early 90s, but it's, if you're not in the tens of thousands per engineer today, something was wrong, right? Servers, like, so technology will increase, automation will increase, but there is a need for it. It might not, it might be coined no ops, but there was ops to get
And
it there.
I think people in the industry who want to sustain this change have to continuously learn new technologies and evolve themselves. You cannot shy away from coding. You cannot say that I won't learn, I'll only do the network stuff, or I'll only do the DBA stuff. You need to evolve. And also sometimes I feel it's unfair for the developers as well, because they have to do a lot of heavy lifting, which ideally they shouldn't. They are there to code and they build softwares, and then they have to do and change ingress rules and manifests and all that. So
yeah,
kind of a unfair thing, but again, this is something which if they learn, it would be helpful for them. But I think, yeah, there is this thin line between dev and ops and what people think about their specific roles. But I think they should not stop. Why can't an ops guy become a dev guy, and vice versa? So I think that that end-to-end understanding of all your tools and technologies would help sail through any kind of automation or any kind of change, which will definitely minimize some of the manual work. But definitely, if you know end to end and if you're continuously learning, you will be in the game long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, especially what's important for like a DevOps engineer, like there's always like this trio of things. It's like people, process, technology. The only constant in technology, it changes all the time. Like I can look back at what I was using like 15, 16 years ago. And it's like, wow, we really come a far way. Even like what I was using last year, it's like, whoa, we really came a far way, from what we were using. But the processes, they change, but they take a little longer, right? If you look at SDLC methodology, going from waterfall to agile to scaled agile to whatever the next one is, I don't know, like that would be it. But people are the slowest to change. Like our motivation, like, is similar. Like I was, like a happy developer is happy, right? And so, like the human portion of it is always a constant. We're emotional. We have different skill sets. We think differently. That's what makes us unique as humans. And once you like realize that, like, hey, how we achieve nirvana or happiness in our pipeline or our delivery, the tools and processes will change, but the people, they need to be maintained, to be the internal stakeholders to be confident and happy. And that's it's always like a human aspect of DevOps, which is always there. So
Yeah, I think I have almost covered everything with, I think, one last question, which is, I think, also my personal question, which I want to ask you. Post pandemic, work from home has become a culture. Now, people are going to offices, and companies are also calling them to come and join, especially in some parts of the world where there's a more service based or a consulting based firms. What do you
yeah.
think is the future of DevOps? Because DevOps believes in collaboration, working closely together. Do you think work from home would help this, or would it become an impediment towards DevOps? How would you look at it?
Yeah, like I just maybe more like my just opinion of it. I don't have any empirical or objective data. Like, absolutely work from home. Like, it might be a generational thing also. Like,
Right.
my father, God bless him, he retired during the pandemic, but he was like, I gotta go to the office. I'm like, you will die of COVID if you leave your house. Like, stop. Like, what? You don't have to go to work. Like you can stay at home. Definitely, right? And like, it all depends on the person. Like, most DevOps teams that I know, their team is distributed. Like, you hire the best individual. Now, going back to consulting, like I've been out of the consulting game for a decade now. Like, the client definitely wanted to see you on site, but they paid for my travel and my food and my lodging and all the expenses I had in between. I don't know how that market is like from a consulting portion of it. I know business travel has like kind of like picked back up. Go to the airport now, it's packed. Like, you don't even think you're 2019. You go to the airport here or worse. But yeah, like, if it wasn't for DevOps, imagine what your engineering staff would have happened. So where I live in the United States shut down March 16th, 2020. What happened March 17th if you didn't have a strong DevOps culture? No one could, like, I had a couple of my buddies, their VPNs went down. They couldn't check in code, they couldn't do anything. But people with strong, DevOps practices, like, not minus the shock and the scaredness and like the human emotion, like, but from a technology standpoint, they were like, yeah, we could do all our work. No, just have to
Sitting on
make
a
sure.
beach.
Yeah, beach or sitting in the house here, but
Yeah.
like that's it. Yeah, like, I think I think it helped because it opens up the opportunity for a lot more people, right? Like, there's such a shortage
Completely.
of DevOps engineers. Like, you know, just take the
So
best
how
person.
how how you work in SHIPA? What's your work culture here in SHIPA? How you interact? Is it all work from home? Do you work in from office once in a month, or like 2 months
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah. We're small, so we don't have an office, and so we're all remote. Like, only like most people like live like a few states apart. Like, there happen to be a couple people live in the Bay Area because they just live kind of close to each other. But everything's remote. I mean, this is like my last couple companies too. Like, I for this like year 6. I mean, not having an office, physical office within 100 miles or more where I live, right? And like, yeah, it works really well for us. Like, we have a remote first culture. We're all remote. We might as well have a private WeWork, so I get out of the house and not disturb
Mm.
anybody. But yeah, it's easy. Like, Zoom, Slack. We collaborate a lot, and we move the needle a lot too. So yeah, I like it.
Oh, it is so fascinating to learn that people could run a company from their homes now. It's such a, I think it was there, but I think COVID just shared that or brought it on the surface that technology could work and deliver from any part of the world. I think one last thing, or maybe a couple of things before we end
Sure.
end this, is on the personal front, because obviously we have talked a lot about DevOps. I hope audiences also got a lot from this. But before we end this, I want to understand. I think you have moved on from consulting to now products, and you have made, I think from my perspective, I think you started in 2005 and in 2022 you are a CTO, and it cannot be an easy journey. You have to evolve, you have to take a risk. So I would want you to share a bit about that and how you coped up with all those challenges to reach to where you are, because it's not easy for individuals to move out of their comfort zone sometimes, and then we sit in a similar kind of an environment in our comfort zone, and then we expect growth to come to us. So I would really want you to touch base on that from your
Yeah,
perspective.
yeah. Like, being blunt, like I like money, like have a nice car, have a nice house, I like travel. Those things are not free. And so like a motivating factor for me was always like, how do I increase my salary? How do I increase my experience? And kind of like navigating that. Like I started out as product engineering, IBM, right? Like I thought I was going to retire there. I was going to be a 30-year, IBMer and retire and have a patent or two and to live life. But kind of like moving around, wanting to like explore a little bit, like and also like my like the desire to like kind of see who used the software was always like driving me. Like I never knew, I couldn't tell you. I used to work for like rational software. So like I made tooling for other software engineers, right? Like that I like tooling. Like I'm always the happiest when I'm working with tooling and like, yeah, engineering tooling. And so like, I just didn't know who bought it, and then finally I was told, you get closer to the person, because the people don't change, right? Like technology will change. So you can shield yourself a little bit and learn a little bit more than Java and
so
Java.
so what kind of some of the soft skills which helped you along this journey? Because obviously you have been a technologist, but there has to be
Yeah.
some soft skills which a person needs to develop to come to that kind of a level where you are.
Yeah, it's all about customer service, right? Like, and this is the funny part. I know I'm cheating. Like you and I talked before the podcast, and we were talking about like, I was kind of complaining about my time in consulting. Like, oh my god, I didn't know where my mail went, and like I was just 300 nights a year at a hotel, like all this stuff. But it taught me customer service skills. Like even working at like a restaurant, like even being like a wall up or something. Like you're getting those customer service skills. It's hard to say like engineers are about customer service because we can be very overly logical and overly like, how dare you?
And a bit egoistic at times because of our
Sure.
because of our knowledge, I feel.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah. And it's just like it taught me a lot about like being patient or not, just customer service. Like, hey, how would you like to be treated if someone asked you something? Right. Like it's like, oh, someone's having a problem with your software. Oh, it must be the user's fault. The hell with them. Like stupid user. Don't put those you would like to be spoken to like that. Like, hey, what happened? Tell us. We and also it's just this is that like, hey, from a customer service perspective, like how do we prevent that from happening from the user again? How do we make their experience better? Because like when you're focused like that was it. It really shaped a lot of the decisions. Like how can just I become more customer focused and or client focused. And as ironic, if you work for a consulting firm, they'll tell you that every day, you're a client service, client number one. But you're like rolling your eyes like, what is this? Why you put me in this room, for a year, right? Why? But it's an interesting way to think about it, right? And then, how do you help other people solve their problems? And that kind of just evolved. I was always curious about like other folks' problems and how to solve that. And yeah, that's kind of like, I love product engineering, went to consulting. I was a little bit aggressive in changing jobs. I wanted more money. I found out that I could get paid a lot more by changing jobs. So like I was at IBM, then I worked for Accenture, then I worked for Deloitte. So I worked for all like the big GIs here. I got promoted every time because I had a skill set that they needed like G2E people at the time, right? So like, oh yeah, right, grill you too much. And then kind of after that was like, how do I mix the customer service skills with some technical skill? And that's when the architecture stuff came in. And then kind of I wanted to be, I always wanted to be like a chief architect or a chief something. It sounded cool, like who doesn't, right? Well, okay, some people don't want to do that, but like, when I was 15, 16 years ago, it's like something I wanted to do. And it's a long path. Another challenge my biggest challenge that I had, so I principal engineered out, right? Like I made principal, within 12 years, right? Like I was pretty happy with that. So like, but then like what's after principal is chief, right? And so like,
In which company? In
so I was working at Mesosphere, so I was like a principal sales engineer there, and then I was like, okay, like I want to be a chief, like our chief something, chief architect, and the only thing that was like holding me back, like, was like my brand. Like no one really knew who I was out of the company, right? Like if you Google Ravi Lakshman, like in 2017, I like chicken. I like fried chicken specifically. So like I would post on like all these like fried chicken sites, like my recipes and like pictures of the chicken I would make. And I would use my real name, which is a problem because all you can see is like, oh, like chicken. That's all he's known for is chicken. The chicken guy. Yeah, I was like, yep. If I fail in technology, I'll open up a chicken shop and just sell chicken, fried chicken every day. So like, and that was it. Like one of my mentors was like, hey man, like, part of getting chief is like, you have to have like community focused stuff. And I was like, well, as a principal engineer, like I'm stuck here. Like I can't, I'm not making external contributions or talking at conferences. Like I have delivery responsibility to do because I own these modules or whatnot. Right. And I kind of like pivoted to like, you know what? I was pretty good at it. Like I would get really funny talks like once or twice, like the people come see and they're like, oh, you're really good at that. Why don't you just do that full time? And I was like, okay, I got to build my brand. That was it. No one knew who Ravi Lakshman was before, in the company before 2017. I got an evangelism or advocacy job. Say the end goal is hit chief because I'm going to build my brand. Now, if you Google Ravi Lakshman, like you'll be hard to find the chicken stuff. Like it's like page 12 or 13 on Google. Like you just
so 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 I think if I can get the crux out of it, I think it's first of all understanding the customer problems and pain points and trying to solve those customer problems, and then building your own brand, your own identity. It could be online, it could be offline, but there has to be something outside what you do on a day-to-day basis. So I think these two things which I could take out of that. Any other advice which you would like to share?
No, that's it. Just customer service and identity, and you're on your way to chief. that easier said than done, right? Like it's just because as engineers, it's unfortunate that our accomplishments don't really follow us around, which is odd. Or in consulting, they'll tell you that too. Like, if you're doing bad, just roll off and get somewhere else in a couple of months, right? Like no harm, no foul. If you do it too many times, then you're like,
I think
find another shop.
I think what I'm realizing over the past few years is business domain understanding also matters. So although you are a technologist, you know a lot of stuff, but if you really want to get into a CXO level, I think you cannot, or ideally, unless you are in Google or Facebook, which is a completely technology firm, or a product like SHIPA. But if you want to become a chief of something, you need to know the business, you need to know the domain, and it is not a certification on Udemy which you could do. You cannot learn how to manufacture a car in 2 hours, right? Or for example, how a retail business runs, what are their pain points. So all these things can only happen when you are on the field, you're talking to the customers and the client and understanding and then coming up with solutions. So I think that is something which could also be a good thing to focus on, maybe as a side strength, or maybe a hustle to learn.
Yeah, domain. No, I say domain experience is like invaluable. Like, I was fairly fortunate that a lot of it came from my consulting days. Like, I was able to like work at a year at an aircraft manufacturer. Like, airplanes are complicated. They're not easy. They kind of put together, like a car, right? Or I spent like a couple years in the banking sector, or I spent also a couple years like in the federal sector here. And it just some connective tissue. Like everyone has the same set of problems, like time to market, revenue. The government doesn't have that. Like the government wouldn't have competition. They want to service the people. But any like private entity, be like time to market, time to value. How do they become more efficient? How do they differentiate themselves in the market? And like, but yeah, like nitty gritty. Like, oh, how does like buy like securities clear in a clearinghouse? Like that's also important. But there's a reason why they want to improve that, is because they want to beat other people to the market, right? And so domain experience is invaluable. Like even if you're working in some ridiculous place, you're still learning. It's a combination of domain experience and technology, is what you strive for with both as an engineer.
Perfect. I think it has been such an engaging session. I don't know about others, but I have learned a lot. And I think thank you so much, Ravi, for taking out
Yeah.
time. It really helps. I don't know if I'm able to extract everything from your mind, but I would definitely look forward to meeting you again, maybe in a very different topic or some other. I would be really interested to know how you shaped your mindset to move from consulting to product. But that's for some other, because that's a different beast altogether. So
I was tired of being a guest, so that's the gist of it. But yeah, different topic.
Yeah, but yeah, some other day. But thank you so much. It was a pleasure hosting you on my very first episode. I don't know how it would look on YouTube, how it would resonate with the audience, but one thing is for sure, that we try to bring value to people, and I hope after watching this they would learn something and be ready for their own journey in DevOps.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, really appreciate it.